Now, apparently Song Da Eun has been trending again. If you're not aware of this situation and really what this is about, then we need to talk about it. So for a little while, not the longest time, but for a little while, people believed that Jimin and her were in a relationship together. It was nothing that Jimin posted, but it was something that people believed that she posted. She was posting things like with headphones, both her name and Jimin's name were on them, and then she was posting pictures of what seemed to be Jimin's apartment, even posting pictures of her and Jimin at a similar location. Of course, all of these things can be explained pretty simply, and I will explain. But it's interesting that a lot of this stuff is being trended again. It's being talked about as if it's new news due to something else that happened. So since a lot of people are upset about how one part of the community will ship JK and V together, and then the other part of the community will ship Jimin and JK together, there's been a lot of controversy. So the part of the community that ships Jimin and JK together, we're essentially saying that JK and V are definitely not in a relationship together because V is straight, and it was proven by the fact that he was dating Jennie. That was then, of course, rebutted by if you're going to talk about V's rumored dating life, then we have to talk about Jimin's rumored dating life. And of course, that would be with Song, which, of course, at this stage in the argument, can't really even pin the blame on one side. Both sides of the community are to blame at this point for starting this. Because at the end of the day, who is actually getting hurt by these rumors then? Like resurfacing and being talked about. It's not either side of the community, but it's actually these idols that are being mentioned and their livelihoods at stake. So while people are then taking things to attack another part of the community with, this is another person's life that's being toyed with, like the idol's life. And of course, I want to get into more of the rumors and why I think some of these things are ridiculous. Jimin could quite literally be anyone's name. So Song posting headphones with two names on them could literally be any person's name. But also, if it were to imply BTS's Jimin, that's okay too, because she could just be a fan and really enjoy, like really admire Jimin the most and just thus wanted to take a picture of his name. That's like if I were to take a picture of his name, that doesn't mean that I'm in a relationship with him. The only thing that separates me from posting Jimin's name versus her posting Jimin's name is the fact that she is a famous actress, or I'm not even quite sure if that's all she does. But you see how ridiculous that is because she's also talked about never meeting the boys ever. So the fact that people are putting them together just because she's also famous is very silly. The other parts of the rumors are weird, which are things like them being apparently in the same house together or them taking pictures in the same location. They also make no sense because a lot of luxury apartments, even how luxury apartments are styled, can be very similar if they call the same interior designer. Also, the more expensive the homes are, it can go into the negotiation process when buying the house to also include a lot of the furniture that's being used to stage, because a lot of rich people and celebrities don't just have one home, so they can't just like bring their furniture from one home to the other because they have two homes that they would like to be furnished at the same time. So sometimes they'll just ask to buy some of the staging, and that could be the exact same furniture for each of them. And of course, them being at famous landmarks is just them being at famous landmarks. I can take a picture near the Statue of Liberty in New York, and so can everyone else. I'm not in a relationship with everyone else who does. There's also these viral photos going around that are very interesting. Someone took moments from Jimin's live stream and took moments apparently from Song Da Eun's live stream as well. And they started to figure out if the apartments really look the same, because that was one of the things that made people think that the two were romantically together. Because they noticed that certain parts of Song's apartment as well as Jimin's apartment looked very similar. Someone was able to notice that the island in their apartment kitchens seemed to be flipped, and actually Song's apartment looks very similar to Arm's apartment. Now, I've said this before and I'll say this again, a lot of luxury apartment units have very similar layouts. And even if they're in the same building or in the same area, and if that same area is owned by the same person, they'll kind of copy and paste the same building, just in different locations. And of course, that means the layouts, the material, and a lot of that is the same. You would think with a luxury building, everyone would get a custom unit, but that's just not the case. And if you look up at luxury apartments just across the country, you'll see that they all look the same, not even just from the inside, but from the outside as well. So someone kind of circled all of the differences, and they were saying that they were both not at each other's apartments, but that they were just in their own apartments. And I think that that's okay. I think that this is probably true, that they're not in a relationship together, and that the layouts are just probably really similar. But I think this is kind of crazy in general. Like the fact that people are going out of their way to screenshot moments from a live stream and then circle it and then compare it to other live streams and do all this detective work just to prove that the two are not romantically together. Like as if it's that serious if they were together. And I understand this is just part of fan culture, but it's still kind of crazy sometimes to know that this is what people spend their time doing. Song Da Eun is someone who a lot of people thought for a really long time for dating Jimin. She posted a bunch of things like the name Jimin, wearing similar clothes, and even people were piecing together moments of, like, I think birthdays and photos where they could be in the same place or whatever. I thought it was really funny. Obviously, in my opinion, there's no merit to any of these claims. But recently, people have been taking what she said as fact and then used it as a way to disprove other things, which I think is interesting. So some people are going into the shipping community and saying that Song has specifically debunked all of the gay rumors surrounding Jimin. So why are people then shipping Jimin and JK still together? Now, if you watch any of my other videos, you'd probably know that I don't particularly believe the two members are together. I just don't know if I do. There's no concrete evidence as of yet, but in the same vein of that, there's no concrete evidence that Jimin and Song are in a relationship together. So to assume that they are is pretty much the same as the whole shipping thing to begin with. Song has addressed a lot of the craziness that has surrounded this a long time ago, saying that she would never purposely try to get into a fandom in this way or get the attention of a fandom in this way because she knows how scary the community can be. And I think it's interesting because after this, she has a lot of hate, and I'm pretty sure she's aware she would have gotten a lot of hate. So no, I don't believe that that specific rumor of Jimin and Song potentially together is proof that Jimin and another man may or may not be dating. And I don't necessarily think it's good to make that assumption because then you're debunking one rumor to incite another rumor. Of course, there's always going to be hate and awful things going around, but if you do want to check out on Patreon a bunch of reaction videos with me where I react to fun and cute moments of the boys and other groups as well, then make sure you do that. I will leave a link at the top of the description. You can also request videos that you would like me to react to, and we can fangirl together over that. There's a $1.95 tier that will have access to all of these videos on there, so no matter how many videos you want to see, you'll be able to see it because there are literally thousands, and it will take you probably a year to get through all of them. So make sure you check it out. Link is at the top of the description. Now, there is this rumor that has been a little bit more insane. I want to stress and say this over and over again, that a lot of the stuff that I see about what is coming out referencing the internal documents of the label seems to be so far-fetched. And a lot of it I feel like is trying to make the label look really bad, and I don't know how much of it's true and how much is like real and how much is fake and how much is, because it's just like so far-fetched. Because the CEO did come out to talk about how he was ashamed of some of the insults or the bad things that were leaked in the internal documents. And I think people took that as an opportunity to say, oh, these internal documents can say anything, and then people are trying to make up something to make the label look bad. But apparently there was a conversation that was leaked within the documents where someone was basically saying that they wonder if V and Jennie and their dating rumor was used to allow the other members to date more privately. People interpret this in a very interesting way because I interpret it a little bit differently. But what people thought it meant was that if the other members were to come out to date or say that they were in a relationship, that the label would then push V and Jennie rumors to cover up the other members dating. However, what I interpreted this was if V and Jennie came out dating first, then the other members would feel more okay to do it. But also the reception for the other members dating probably wouldn't be that crazy because one of the members had already come out dating. So the second, third, fourth are obviously not going to be as shocking. This happens with everything. I mean, even when the members got Miss Rona, I think a lot of them ended up getting that virus, but obviously the first was the most shocking or the most scary. But then people interpret this to mean that V and Jennie rumors were to cover up Jimin and Song dating, talking about the fact that when Jimin and Song's dating rumor came out, the next day, that is when the photo of V and Jennie holding hands in Paris came out. So apparently the day before the Jimin dating rumor came out, that is when the V and Jennie rumor had happened. Like the two were holding hands, they were seen in Paris, blah, blah, blah. And then it was believed that the label waited for the media outlets to drop Jimin and Song being in a relationship. And then they decided to release footage of V and Jennie in Paris. Of course, this is all completely just assumptions and alleged and baseless rumors because we don't even know where in the original document did it even talk about V and Jennie dating, let alone this idea that if it did talk about it, there are so many different ways to interpret what they said. Specifically, the words "I wonder," which was actually translated, would already imply that this is not what people were rumoring it to be. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks. Just leave a comment right here. Love you. Bye.